Hello everyone, Weather Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on the weather across Jamaica and the Caribbean. It is Wednesday evening, June 21, 2023. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you guys like the video, share it, subscribe and tap the notification bell so that you'll be notified every time I post a brand new video. Feel free to leave a comment down in the comment section letting me know what the weather's been like in your area recently. Also feel free to ask any weather related question that you might have about the future of the weather in your specific area. I respond to all comments and I really live for this stuff. Alright, so let us take a look at the surface map of the Atlantic for this evening. You can still see that the entire Atlantic basin is being dominated by that ridge of high pressure. So everything that's to the south of that high pressure will be pushed off towards the west until that high pressure is eroded by multiple troughs, which is going to be responsible for dragging Invest 93L towards the north, while the systems that are already to the south of this high pressure, like this tropical wave that has just entered the Caribbean, not to mention tropical storm Bret, will be moving towards the west along with that high pressure. If we actually take a look at the satellite images, the infrared satellite images for today across the main development region, we can see that Invest 93L right here to the right of Bret is trying to get its act together with some more deep convection firing up today with all of those reds and orangish colors. And if we actually take a look at Bret, we see some deeper convection, some blacks and purples in there across the central dense overcast. That's where the center is located, that packs the strongest winds of up to 65 miles per hour according to the US National Hurricane Center. And we can also see a lot of sparkling white dots across Bret's outer bands right there across the southeastern side of Bret at this time. If you actually take a look at the US National Hurricane Center's page, we can still see that Invest 93L still has an 80% chance of tropical storm or tropical cyclone formation within the next 7 days, while we still have Bret to the west of there. If we actually take a look at Bret, we still see the same prediction, the same projected path, an east to west flow, and we can also see the wind field, the tropical storm force winds right there off, especially to the north and east of Bret. So that's definitely going to be affecting those areas where we have the blue shades that we have the tropical storm warnings up for. So definitely sections of Martinique and St. Lucia might get in on some of that heavy weather. Taking a look at the other maps showing the projected path, if we see this is actually the GEFS, which is actually the GFS forecast, while we have the EPS, which is the Euromol. And we see that both models are showing the same thing. I know that when we have consensus, when we have agreement like this, even although we have one outlier on the EPS map showing something moving north between Haiti and Jamaica right there, we know that that's definitely not going to happen. We're going to be working with the consensus based on what most of the models are seeing, and we see all of that moving off towards the west into Central America. And as it relates to the intensity, right now Bret is still a tropical storm, but as time goes along within the next 48 hours, the next 2 days, that's when we're going to be seeing Bret starting to lose its tropical storm characteristics and start weakening, probably back to a tropical depression or a tropical wave by the end of the 3-day period. As it relates to Invest 93L, we still have both the Euro and the GFS models showing majority of their members moving this system off towards the northwest before it even reaches the Caribbean. And we can also see the intensity forecast showing that majority of them are taking it up into tropical storm status, even although we have one outlier showing that it might get even up to category 2 status by the next 2 days. That's 48 hours out. Either way, we know that we're supposed to focus on what most of the models are showing. That's where we have the consensus, and that's where we have the most certainty. Let us take a look at what the Euro and the GFS are forecasting in terms of where this system is going to go, tropical storm Bret, and the rainfall. So we can see that the Euro model is still forecasting that Bret is going to be dissipating and getting into the southern Caribbean to the south of Jamaica by Sunday. This is 15 Z on Sunday, which is actually 10 a.m. on Sunday. And actually 1 p.m. on Sunday. And we skip ahead once more. And we can see the greens that represent rainfall across sections of Jamaica. Definitely some amount of rainfall, even although it's this far south. If we actually remember 2020, we had so many strong storms and maybe category 5 or 4 passing towards the south of Jamaica, and we did indeed have those outer bands coming into sections of especially eastern Jamaica, bringing some amount of rainfall to those spots. So even although it's very far south, or it's going to be passing to the far south of Jamaica, we're definitely in for some amount of rainfall. The GFS shows much of the same thing, but there's gonna be some change. There's some change in the amount of rainfall. Look, this is 18th on Sunday. We have the greens coming into sections of Jamaica that represent rainfall, but skipping ahead even a bit further, this is 7 a.m. on Monday. Look at all those darker shades of greens and yellows embedded in them. So you might just have even some more rainfall across sections of the Jamaica area by then. If you actually take a look at the close-up of Jamaica, showing the accumulated precipitation from now up until this is 12 a.m. on Tuesday, we can see that yes, we're definitely in for some rainfall from now up until then, with the total accumulated or the most rainfall across sections of eastern Jamaica, so St. Thomas, Portland. But look at what the GFS is showing. GFS is a bit more robust, especially what we just saw on the larger scale model, with all of these reds, even up to maybe even 100 millimeters of rainfall across sections of eastern Jamaica. We know that these maps are not set in stone, and the GFS and the Euro will show one thing one day and another the other. Either way, take it with a grain of salt. We're definitely going to be closing out the month of June with some amount of rainfall across sections of Jamaica. Alright, so let's just take a look at the prediction that was made in yesterday's video about the weather across Jamaica for today. It was stated in yesterday's video that we would have received some rainfall across sections of eastern Jamaica in the morning, then western Jamaica in the afternoon. And although the posts were not made on our Twitter page, we indeed had some amount of clouds across sections of St. Thomas and Portland this morning, about some amount of isolated showers, and then we actually had some rainfall across sections of especially Hanover, Jamaica, in the west and north side of the island. So we can see it on the infrared satellite images right here, with all of the sparkling white dots and the burst of convection with the green shades indicating the high cold cloud tops right there. But we definitely had some amount of rainfall again, so it's not like the models were wrong, it's just that we didn't get a chance to make a post. We did get a chance to make a post about the fact that today is the first day of summer. Many people thought that summer has already started with all of the heat that we've been getting. It says here, it is the first day of summer and the longest day of the year. Summer marks the transition from spring to autumn. Days are the longest and temperatures are the warmest. Try to beat the heat this summer with the following tips. And we also gave some number of tips that we can use to beat the heat, from staying cool to staying hydrated and all of that. So ensure that you follow our Twitter page, Instagram or TikTok or Facebook page so that you're always in the know with our latest mini posts. Alright, so let's just take a look at the temperatures for this evening. We can see that we have 28 degrees Celsius in Kingston and 28 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, and as usual as the night progresses, these temperatures should be getting lower. As relates to the temperature forecast for tomorrow across Jamaica, we'll still see Jamaica embedded in some yellows and some oranges shadings. They represent up to 1 to 2 degrees Celsius above average temperatures. And we know that the average temperatures for the month of June across Jamaica is about the equivalent of 90 degrees Fahrenheit, and when we look at the thermometer, that's the equivalent of 32.2 degrees Celsius. So if we're going to be receiving up to 2 degrees Celsius above normal temperatures tomorrow, we should be receiving anywhere from 32.2 to 34.4 degrees Celsius at most. As it relates to the Saharan dust forecast, we can still see that we still have a lot of Saharan dust across the main development region into portions of the Caribbean. It's not that robust because we don't see those very dark brown shades, but we do indeed have some of that, especially across sections of Hispaniola, Puerto Rico, majority of the Leeward Islands, and some of this is being ingested into portions of Tropical Storm Bret and Invest 93L, which could explain why these systems are struggling with the development at this time. And this is the forecast for where the Saharan dust is going to be located for 2 p.m. on Thursday. You can see maybe some of the slight hazy weather entering into the Jamaica area. Jamaica is right there behind the word port, to the south of Cuba, to the west of Haiti. If we actually take a look at the dry air map, we know that the dry air map is far different from the Saharan dust map. We just saw the Saharan dust map, and we can have dry air over an area and not necessarily Saharan dust. And we see that we have a lot of dry air right there across the northeastern sections of the United States, to the east of Canada right there. You can see some dry air across portions of the western Gulf of Mexico, some dry air across sections of the central Caribbean as well. Some of this has some amount of Saharan dust within there as well. We can see the driest air right there off the coast of Africa. Majority of that is associated with the Sahara Desert, as we can see by the brown shadings on the other map. As it relates to the wave forecast for tomorrow, the waves aren't that robust like what we saw today. Today was a very windy day, and we had some very choppy seas across sections of southern and eastern Jamaica. Tomorrow, we're seeing more blue surrounding the island that represent anywhere from 1.5 to 2 meter wave heights at most. And that's due to the fact that we'll be receiving some winds across the island averaging up to 20 knots, mostly coming in from the east. And we know that where we have the blue shades, that's where we're going to be having the air pile up, all of those cumulus clouds becoming cumulonimbus clouds, and possibly bringing some afternoon convection across those spots in western Jamaica. And we see that we have that wind shear still coming in from the west, so any afternoon convection that we're going to be receiving tomorrow definitely going to be affecting sections of maybe Westmoreland, Hanover, St. James, maybe even sections of northern St. Elizabeth as well. As it relates to the precipitation forecast, we can see that we have consensus with some blues across sections of eastern Jamaica, St. Thomas and Portland. What time is this? This is 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is actually 1 p.m. Jamaica time. So we see some blues that represent rainfall, even although the Euro is a bit more robust, showing more blues across sections of central and western Jamaica. We don't believe in that. We know that we're supposed to believe more in what both models are showing, and we see the consensus with majority of the blues in the sea as well as on the land across eastern Jamaica, right there on both maps. So definitely look out for some of that afternoon rainfall across sections of eastern Jamaica. Skipping ahead to about 5 p.m. Jamaica time, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is about 4 p.m. Jamaica time. We see much of the same with some of those blues across sections of eastern Jamaica that represent rainfall, and we start to see some more rainfall across sections of western Jamaica. So maybe northern and western Jamaica, just the same parishes that were just mentioned: St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, Hanover, St. James, maybe even sections of Trelawney as well. So we'll see exactly what unfolds with that. Either way, we have both the Euro and the GFS malls showing much of the same for what we have had happen today. Rain across sections of eastern and western Jamaica on both the Euro and the GFS malls. And we don't have any crazy accumulated precipitation totals. The most that we see is right there on the Euro model with up to 0.32 of an inch of rainfall. And we're indeed grateful for the rainfall that we're going to be receiving to wrap up the month of June, considering that we usually receive up to 133 millimeters of rainfall during this month, and we're trying to put a dent in this current hydrological drought that we're experiencing across the island. Alright, so that's it for the forecast across Jamaica. Let's focus our attention on the rest of the Caribbean. So as stated, we have Tropical Storm Bret to the east of the Caribbean that's about to affect portions of the Windward and Leeward Islands, so Barbados, sections of St. Vincent, sections of St. Lucia, Martinique, sections of Dominica. Might getting on some of that. And considering how large this system is, it's definitely going to be bringing some amount of rainfall to a large area, so we might even see some outer bands stretching as far as sections of Trinidad and Tobago, Grenada, maybe even sections of Guadeloupe, and maybe Antigua, Barbuda, St. Kitts, who knows. We can also see a lot of convection right there across sections of Honduras and Nicaragua associated with that trough, that persistent trough that has been affecting the area for the past month. You can also see numerous clouds across sections of the southern and eastern United States associated with multiple troughs, bringing some amount of overcast skies and rainfall to those spots as well. Taking a look at the Doppler radar images, we know Doppler radar images show the actual rainfall over an area as opposed to satellite images that show cloud cover. And we can indeed see that we had some amount of rainfall today from about 1 p.m. across sections of Puerto Rico, not to mention sections of Guadeloupe, St. John's, Montserrat, sections of the US and British Virgin Islands. We can also see some rainfall coming into sections of Dominica as well. And if we actually take a look at the latest Doppler radar images of the northeastern Caribbean, we still see that we have more rainfall coming into sections of Martinique and Dominica as well. And all of that has to do with the tropical wave that has entered the Caribbean just now. Taking a look at the Doppler radar images of Barbados, we can see that yes, we indeed have some amount of stray showers still passing by to the south and west of Barbados associated with that tropical wave, affecting sections of St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Grenada. You can also see some rainfall to the north of Barbados, so they might indeed get in on some more slight passing showers coming in from the east tonight. And if we take a look at the wider view of Doppler radar images, we can see all of that rainfall to the far south of Puerto Rico associated with that tropical wave as it continues to move towards the west. We can see a lot of rainfall right there across sections of Florida, not to mention sections of Guatemala, Honduras, just like what we saw on the satellite images just now. Taking a look at the temperature forecast for tomorrow, we can see that 18th on Thursday, which is actually 1 p.m. on Thursday, we still have above normal temperatures to be receiving across the majority of the western hemisphere, so stretching from the eastern Caribbean to the western Caribbean, even into the Bahamas, Florida, with the most above normal temperatures right there across sections of Mexico and Texas. Taking a look at the Saharan dust forecast, we can see that we still have that hazy weather to receive anywhere from the eastern to the central Caribbean for 2 p.m. on Thursday, with the most dust right there to the north of the basin. So maybe the Leeward and the Leeward Islands, so the US and British Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, and we can also see some more darker shades of browns right there off the coast of Africa, not to mention on mainland Africa right there. Taking a look at the wave forecast for tomorrow, we can see all of that high wave heights as indicated by all of these red shades that represent up to 4-meter wave heights starting to close in on the island. This is 12 p.m. on Thursday, and we see the sea starting to get very choppy across sections of Barbados, a majority of the Leeward and Windward Islands right there associated with the winds that tropical storm Bret is going to be kicking up, and we see that on both the Euro and the GFS models for the same time. So definitely try to take the necessary precautions so that you're not that drastically affected by what's to come out there. I'm talking to you, the fishers at sea and other marine interests. And if we actually take a look at the wind forecast, we can see all of those strong winds averaging from 25 to up to 40 knots. Even some blues in there represent up to 60 knot winds. So definitely some strong winds to receive across the majority of the eastern Caribbean tomorrow. Definitely some damage might be done. We might have some power outages. We might have some power lines down, trees falling down, whatever the case may be. It's still a storm, lots of strong winds, tree branches breaking, and some choppy seas out there. So get yourself ready, charge up your devices from now so that you're not that drastically affected by what's to come. Taking a look at the rain forecast now. So yesterday we saw most of these purples far out to sea. Now we're starting to close in. Both maps are showing all the rainfall that's expected from now up until 10 p.m. on Thursday. And we're starting to see more of the purple starting to come into the shaded area closer to the Caribbean right there. And the purples represent anywhere from 3 to even up to 6 inches of rainfall, so they're definitely going to be getting in on some of that. And we can also see a lot of rainfall elsewhere, stretching from the Yucatan Peninsula, Belize, Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Panama. Even although the GFS is a bit more robust, showing some purples in Costa Rica and Panama right there. We can also see some rainfall across sections of Colombia, Venezuela, Guyana as usual, French Guiana, Suriname, the usual spots in Central and South America that usually receive a lot of rainfall all year round because they're in the intertropical convergence zone, so they're definitely going to be receiving rainfall most of the times. We can also see some rainfall coming into sections of Hispaniola, sections of Puerto Rico as well. And we know that when we have consensus, when both malls are showing much of the same thing like this, the chances of it actually happening are much higher. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.